Hi everyone, welcome back. My name is Bram Lagru, founder of Lagru Partners and specializing in helping business owners, partners and specialists in professional and financial services firms to become really productive at work and to become a trusted advisor as well as a peak authority in your specific industry. Welcome back. Today, as I had a session a few days ago with an accounting practice and financial services firm with some of the partners in there, it just dawned on me how much, again, closing techniques are so important in order to help clients to make decisions. Clients, they are already looking for a service that you and I provide. In that sense, the question is whether they will engage your firm and your services or someone else's. So it's not really a matter of whether or not we have to push for it and try to close people. It is really a matter of helping people to make a decision for any type of service and product. So in that sense, let's just make sure that they choose us above everyone else. And today, just a very short video on how you can use one particular closing technique. We teach many others, but one particular closing technique that can be very, very instrumental in helping more people deal with your firm. Now, whether this is in terms of time you sell, your expertise, consulting, advice, it could also perhaps be projects or plans that you put together for people. It could also be a product like an insurance product and the likes. For each one of those, you will find that the comparative close is a wonderful one, not just to help people to decide more in favor of your products and services, but also to help you upsell, to help you make more money with each transaction, with each client you bring on. And again, helping the clients to feel really good about this particular transaction. So let me just explain you exactly what is the comparative close. And before we dive in, I'd like to also remind you of this particular sentence here. It is something that I've noticed that is really important to share with people in professional and financial services for the simple reason that typically the good news is that professional and financial services experts tend to be very, very good people who have done a lot of study, have learned a lot, put a lot of time in it, have a very close eye and attention to detail. They like to get the facts right and get it right the first time rather than making an error up front. So they really are the ones who put a lot of time and effort and sweat into studying and preparing things and doing a really meticulous job. Now, for the same reason as well, sometimes I've noticed that these people in a selling situation or in a situation in which they will be talking to clients, presenting how they can help them, and also how they will be able to do business with them and help them with their businesses respectively or their personal lives. One thing that I've noticed is that analyzers or analytical people, experts in their fields, tend to overcomplicate things. And so know thyself, as a trusted oracle once said, is a very good thing. When you know that you have a tendency to really look after facts and details, and that you like to take a lot of time to explain things and give people information, know that this approach is called the information approach, and information overload will easily lead to complexity, and complexity is the enemy of decision making. So in order to be able to shift it in a good way and obviously use the benefits that an analytical approach and an information approach helps to do in terms of decision making, let's make sure that we find a way, and again the comparative close is one of them, one of many that we teach in Best Year Ever, for example. The simplicity is our best friend. So we need to somehow narrow it down. And let me just also again visualize that for you. Our job is to narrow things down through a funnel. So if let's just say that you have a few options that I have just written out here that you have put through the funnel of the decision making in the client's mind, the challenge is that the client will have so many different options to think about, not just for your particular products and services, but also for those of other people that they have spoken to and that they're in the market for as well. So that complexity makes it very hard for people to make decisions. Complexity can scare people out of making a commitment. And so The real trusted advisor understands and acts in a way that helps the clients to make progress towards a decision that he or she is looking for anyway. So our job is not just to inform and give all the facts and details that a client needs. Our job is also to help to funnel it down, to narrow it down, to make things easy for the client. And so the best advisors, they will do it here. They will make sure that they, out of all these different options, the options both in-house in terms of what we've discussed, as well as those of others that the client has spoken to, that they find one or two options that are a good fit for the client. And this is easy. This is easy to choose from. This is complex. Right? So our job is to help making sure that we narrow down, make it easy on the client. Now, let's straight go to the point. The comparative close is where we pretty much, based on the analysis, the needs analysis or qualifying stage that we've conducted with the client, we have identified specific needs. We've identified the experiences that the client wasn't happy with in the past, and we also know what the client is looking for this time around. And so based on that, we have done our homework back in the office. We have put some options together, and options that are strategically designed to help the client. And let me just now explain to you how that would work. What you would typically do is you would have 3 different options nicely prepared on paper for the client. And you would take that client in the presenting or demonstrating stage. You would take that client through each one of those 3 options. 3 is a really good number. It's scalable. It's easy to comprehend. It doesn't take you too long either to explain and go through. But what you would do is you would typically walk through the client through every 3 options that you have. Let's just say that this was the first one. You've got it visually printed in a pile of papers, and you've discussed it all, and you put it on the table in front of the client. So let's just assume that this is a table and that you and I are having this presentation. After I've done the first thing, makes sense, good. You go over and you start explaining the next one, and you take the client through that one, and you say, how are we going so far? And just have some really quick check-in times and questions to just see where the client is at with it. Next, you then have also your third one, and you explain that one and put it again in front of the client. What you do then is critical. Once you've explained all 3 of them, you say, out of all these 3, which ones do you like most? The client will say, let's just say the middle one, okay? And then you would say, interesting. Why is that? This is a very important question. And every time when you ask a question, you shut up and you wait. The client then will say, well, you know what? I like this one particularly for this and this and this and this reason. Notice what happens in this very point in time. When you ask a client to open up and reveal what the key reasons are for him or her to like your product and service, that client will start to sell your product or service to himself. Very interesting. So it's a very interesting point from a psychological point that to bring a client to convey why it is that that product or service matches his needs. So that's one way. The other reason why you would have these 3 things here is that the client is in a position then to touch or take one of your options. Now notice what happens with that when that happens. Let's just say that I am the client and I just said, I really like this one and I took it. As soon as I have physically taken that option, in a way I own it already. I have already decided in favor of this one, which is a very easy way to help a client make a decision. It's very easy for you to help to onboard a client with your firm and your services. So this is a second reason. The third and final reason is a very important one as well. Let's just say that based on your initial analysis, you identified that, and again, this is just as in a comparison, just to make things easy. But let's just say that you've identified that the cheapest option that you would be able to provide is worth $3,000. Now, $3,000 is the first one that you showed him. The second option you have is one that is worth $4,000 and just has 1 or 2 extra features that you believe the client may like, and actually if you really were to think about it, this probably is the option that is most suited. However, you also add a third option to it, which is again one step up. Let's just say instead of 3,000 to 4,000, this one is at 5,500. So 1,500 more than the middle one. What happens here is because of this particular product that has a few extra features that the client even hasn't thought about, nor did he or she express a desire for having them, you just added them on as a comparison. It's a comparative close. So what happens here is that because of a $5,500 ticket, the client may more easily commit to a $4,000 item, but in the absence of this $5,500 one, the client may actually revert back to the cheaper option being a $3,000. So from just adding one more expensive product or feature to the comparison, what you've done is you actually help to upsell that client from a 1 to a product 2. Sometimes you will be able to upsell them to product number 3, which is a premium, depending on the client, where they're at, and obviously what their budget is, and so on. So, in order for you to help more clients, onboard more clients in your business, and actually make the transactions more valuable, use the comparative close. Ask the question after you've taken them through each one of those options. Out of these 3 options, which one do you like most? Zip up, wait, and have the client tell you why it is, and actually sell back to you why it is that they want that one. And then you say, interesting, now why is that? Right? So you want to really bring out everything, all the reasons why that client really likes this particular product and service. Make sure you've put it down on 3 different sheets so that the client physically can touch it, because as soon as a person touches it, mentally and emotionally speaking, that client owns already your product and service. All right, that was it for me for today. Notice again, complexity is the enemy of decision making, yet simplicity is our best friend. I wish you well. Let us know how you're going. Please post some comments and questions below. And if you'd like to take us up on some online training, Best Year Ever as well as Communication Mastery are some great resources. Both of them you will find as a link on underneath this video. I wish you a great day. Have a great one. Thanks. Bye-bye.